Hello guys, thank you for tuning into my channel. This is Azrael, and in this video I'm going to tell you guys how I got my name. First, I'm going to give you guys a history of it, okay? I have had many comments and I've had many conversations about it. First of all, they say, well, how come you use Azrael when you do not, which is a Christian or Jewish archangel, yet you don't identify as a Christian anymore or at all? Well, I'm a pantheist, and I will address gods that I could work with. I might address Yeshua one day, and I might address the gods of my ancestors. If I feel like I need a specific entity for a specific reason, if they're willing to work with me, I'm going to work with them. I am not locked down to one specific pantheon or outlook. Well, you have a lot of contempt towards the monotheistic faiths, which I do, because they're very oppressive. But that does not mean that they don't have stuff that could be used to benefit one's spiritual path. All right. First of all, Azrael literally means "he who God helps." Translated from Hebrew to English, "he who God helps." So the Christians out there saying that I'm named after a demon, you are absolutely sounding ridiculous. You don't know your own faith, more than likely. You don't even know because you don't even know the origins of your faith or its nuances, which is this. Azrael literally means he who God helps. So unless you're willing to believe that, this angel was named by God because he helps demons, which probably he does. I'm just saying. Moving on. Okay. Basically, Azrael was probably plucked from a pantheon of other gods or spirits, much like Lilith. Lilith is only found in one of the books of the Bible talking about some kind of spirit that haunts the desert. Okay, she's not mentioned actually in the book of Genesis, even though she's known for being there through oral tradition. Okay, basically, supposedly the wife, the first wife of Adam. However, she really originally appears in a story much older than the 5 books of Moses, much older than the Genesis story, where she's living in a tree with a snake that cannot be tamed in a garden. Sound familiar? Well, that's because, which I'm going to be doing pagan Bible studies to show where Christian and Jewish traditions were actually plagiarized or borrowed from much older belief systems. All right, this happens today. People get inspired by a story, they take elements of that story and they make it their own. That's basically what happened with this religion. Lilith became the first wife of Adam in their mythology or their oral traditions, when originally it had nothing to do with him. It was in the epic story of Gilgamesh in a tree in a garden. In any case, I'll get into that later. The Jews were in exile in Persia at one time, and during this time frame, they started teaching different doctrines about their God. One of them is duality. The Israelites believed that God was the main source of both good and bad. The book of Isaiah actually says that. I form the light, I form the dark, I create evil, I create good. Okay, so anyways, now you have a dualistic system. Zoroastrianism, which is a pagan monotheistic faith, which is older than Christianity, and I believe definitely older than Judaism. But when they're in exile in Persia, they started teaching the same kind of doctrines that Zoroastrian did, which one of them is a dualistic god, Ahura Mazda the Great One, and then I believe he's Ahriman the Opposer. I might be wrong, but any case, you have a devil and a god that fight each other. That religion also teaches about the coming of a Messiah, which again the Jews did not start teaching until that time, which of course paved the way for it to transform into Christianity later. But this religion also teaches about a eternal punishment, which is something that the Jews also did not necessarily believe in during this time, but they started preaching eternal punishment while in exile. So they were adopting other aspects from this religion. Some of them, or more likely, their pantheon of angels, because Zoroastrianism has a bunch of angels that go about the earth doing the work of Ahura Mazda, right? Same thing. So they adopted some of these, and it is believed that Azrael might be stemming from that pagan religion. However, how I got my name was, now you know some of the history, and why it's so easy for me, a person that believes in a universal belief that, it doesn't matter what gods you worship, you're pretty much going worshiping the same source. It's so easy for me to interchange certain deities. They're or even angels I can adopt from a religion that I don't really follow. Even though Azrael is not found in the Bible, which is wonders why modern Christians reject it. It is found in the book of Islam underneath a different, in the book of, in the Quran. I am so sorry. In the book of Islam, in the book of the Quran, but his name is pronounced slightly different. But anyway, to make a long story short, I would go to a cemetery. To go to the cemetery, I would go there to meditate. I'll go there to clean graves. One day I was looking for a job, and I got my lunch. I ate most of my lunch, and then I gave the rest to the dead. And I said, "This is, any spirits willing to help me find a job, send these energies my way." Basically, and I left food for the dead. Well, that same day, as I moved my car to the different location, I got out and then started doing my thing. And the foreman of the cemetery came up to me and asked me, he says, "I see you here a lot. I see you cleaning graves. Are you visiting a loved one?" I'm like, "No, don't know anybody here. Buried here. I just do this." He goes, "Would you like to get paid for it?" So that day I got a job working at the cemetery, helping out, doing stuff I would do anyway. Any case, that started the ball. And then, of course, I came in one day, dug a grave, and found out that the person I dug the grave for was a family friend. We didn't know he died. I didn't know until his family came, and after the funeral, when I came to help fill in the dirt and level it out. You have these big old metal things, weights, and you tap the ground with it to compact it. But in any case, yeah, there it was. And then my friends, of course, at the time, I was a Christian witch and a person who summoned spirits. And if you look in the ancient medieval books on magic and spirit summoning, of course, they almost always call the magician the exorcist, because he is, invoking spirits or removing them. And of course, yes, they do, since it was written in the through the lenses of the Middle Ages, where everything was pretty much Christian. Most witches of the time still worshipped worshipped a Christian god, though practiced the old rituals for healing and prosperity and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's not a big surprise that you're going to have the largest part of what influences ritual high magic Christian have Christian overtones, because it was in the Middle Ages where it was mostly formed. But of course, there's other forms of summoning spirits and so forth, which, a great book to read on that would be the Greek Papyrus book, which has, and a lot of them have some Christian overtones, but a lot of them have some of the pagan ones too, and it's pulling from Greek and Egyptian rituals. But in any case, but that's how I got my name. My friends started coining me "He Who God Helps," or because I always was helping or taking the role of protecting or taking care of the dead in an aspect. So that's how my name got there, and that's how it stuck. And I added the angel of melancholy, even though he is not the angel of death. He's the angel of death, not the angel of sadness, but death brings sadness, so he's technically also an angel of melancholy, an angel of sadness, So that's how I got my internet name. Thank you for watching.